On that day, mankind received a grim reminder. We lived in fear of the Titans and were disgraced to live in these cages we call walls. That's one of the first quotes from AOT from Shingeki no Kyojin by Isayama, and it's a very apt analogy. Isayama himself grew up enclosed by a bunch of mountains which reminded him of walls. And what happened today has reminded me of AOT, because I've also been given a grim reminder that society doesn't give a damn about you. I went to the store and it turned out that I could not memorize my PIN code, which I needed to buy the items, the merchandise, and my card got rejected. And instead of somebody coming up to me and saying, "It's okay, I got you," nobody did. I even asked, like, can somebody do something, like I'll come back with the money or something? But I immediately gave up because I looked at the other people in the queue at the checkout line and none of them made as much as a sound. I saw the face of a woman staring at me, and it was just a dumb expression of nothing. So when saw all the items except for two, a Snickers bar and 2 small slices of pizza, had to be returned because I had some cash on me so I could buy those. But everything else I had to put into a basket and they returned it, I suppose. And so that's a grim reminder that if you happen to have no money, if your credit card is disabled for some reason because you're down on your luck, you don't have any money, nobody's gonna help. And of course for me, that wasn't the case. I had money, I just couldn't memorize the code that I needed. But suppose it had been different. Suppose that it got refused because I had insufficient funds, because I didn't have any money. Everybody would have left me in the dirt. And I know that if I saw that situation, I would just whip out my credit card and pay. I know I would do it because I've done it before. And when I did it, the sum total came out to more than twice of what my sum total was. And yet, nobody tried to intervene. Twice the amount, I can't say double the help because if you multiply 0, it's still 0, but you know what I mean. So that gives me a grim reminder of what society actually is. That we can't really talk about the society, which sort of implies a kind of mutual care, mutual community. The root word is probably something like community. It's bullshit, it's bullcrap. It's baloney. They will let you rot. It reminded me of, this was like a decade ago, I was much younger, but which is irrelevant to the point, I'm just saying it happened a long time ago. There was an old lady at the checkout line, and she was accused by the cashier of stealing bananas. Something insane about, she didn't tag all the bananas, or some mechanism whereby she had to weigh the bananas or something, and or maybe she removed something, the barcode, I don't know, something happened, or allegedly something happened, and this cashier started bothering her about that, started nagging her about that. It's like, are we up to something? It's like this chiding tone too, that memory is indelible to me because it terrified me how cruel people actually are. I mean, even if suppose that woman, that old lady, which she was stealing, so what? Why are you? And this was not a corner store, this was a proper convenience store, a multinational probably. Why do you care? Why are you bending the knee to this giant corporation? And bending the knee to this giant corporation instead of helping your fellow creature, your fellow human. It's magnificent. When I run into homeless people, I give them money. When they ask me for money, I give them money. But I don't give enough. And that's something that I have guilt over. And I used to commute every day to school and back. I used to commute into the capital city, and I saw a lot of terrible things there. I saw some mother, going up the train, the stairs of the train, and there was some teenage girl or something so they sort of ran into each other, and the teenage girl yelled, "It's your fucking baby." Then I saw there was like a disabled man on the train, kind of intellectually disabled man, and he was talking too loud on the phone. So this guy would start yelling at, kind of not yelling at him, but indirectly, kind of gesturing towards him. I'm gonna beat the crap out of this loud person, this idiot, But the guy wouldn't stop speaking too loudly because he was mentally disabled. So probably he didn't understand what he was doing wrong. These and many other examples that one could choose from, just a whole host of bullshit. And that's not always how it is, of course. You can pinpoint good things that people do, good things that society does. I'm not saying you can't. Nonetheless, there's always this undercurrent of anxiety, undercurrent of fear that is always there, because that basically these people don't give a about you. Unless you happen to fall upon the right person to essentially exploit their charity, you're dead in the water. And it's disturbing that society is based on, a lot of the times it's based on charity. That if you have a family or happen to have some friends or happen to find a decent person, then you'll live another day. But if you don't, then you'll be hungry and have no money and have no opportunities. And so the reason why I'm such a pessimist when it comes to society is that, to me, it just seems like a soulless pig, something that is nasty and disturbing. And many things come to mind. Like, I had a video yesterday that sort of went a little more popular than my usual ones do. And most of the people never even watched even half of it. They click away after a minute or two. And there isn't enough actions or loud sounds or colors, they're gone. So most of the people who give a view to this video are not here anymore. So even that's a lie. They gave it a view, but it counts as a view, but they're not actually watching, they're not actually listening. So I heard of this dead internet theory. And I think you can apply that here, that many of the views that you see on videos are not real, in the sense that people don't actually watch the videos, they just watch snippets of it and it already counts as a view. They're not real viewers, they don't actually engage you or listen to you or do anything. And it's just another bit of disappointment that the moment somebody is not, speaking to you like you're 5 years old about things that a 10-year-old could understand, then you're done, you're gone. And another thing that occurred to me, it's an ongoing situation that, Trump won the election. And I said it before. Before it happened, I said, how can you possibly be optimistic when you know that 80 million thereabouts people will vote for an obvious sociopathic compulsive liar who bends and twists as the wind blows him. One time he's pro LGBT, another time he isn't. It's just a totally compulsive liar, sociopath, and they're gonna bring down the world. They're gonna pull it back a good 100 years with all these fundamentalist bullshit. It's not gonna be fun. So lots of people will have to suffer because of this bullshit. And so those are just examples that people with half the brains make not twice the money, but 100 times the money that you do. It's just a really bad distribution in terms of the attention and the resources and the money. All the money that's wasted on fucking football, soccer, the Olympics. Again, and just having your card declined. It reminds me of like a Trump Tower, or, some fancy establishment that on the one hand you have a guy who just wants to eat and can't because his or her card is declined. And then you have a Trump who is an asshole, but they don't stop him and say, sorry, we're gonna decline your card. You already have 8 Lamborghinis. You don't need another. You already have everything you need. Stop. But when somebody who wants to buy some food, when their card is declined, then it's declined, and nobody perhaps comes to the rescue. So it always baffled me how easily you can go from the bottom to the top. That all that's separating you from the top is 1 or 2 financial decisions and 1 or 2 lucky rolls of the dice. And that despite society's lies, there's nothing substantive that keeps you down. There's nothing. It's not a reasonable barrier to entry. It's an unreasonable barrier to entry. It's based on nothing but pure greed, just money, just capital. Even in Europe, where the EU, where we're supposed to be socialized, people still have to be homeless and they still have to be that broke. It reminded me immediately of AOT. That this terrible fear they had of the Titans. I'm rendered incapable and disabled by the fear that comes upon me when something like this happens, when my card is declined. It's not that I care about the food that's declined. Even if I was broke, it wouldn't matter to me that much. What terrifies me, like Daz I would say, is the logic of the world. How it's the fear that it strikes within me to know that this is how society works is a million times more devastating and punishing than the fact that I couldn't buy what I wanted to buy. That stuff is trivial compared to the pain that I feel when I think about the pain is fear, just pure. I'm not so much in pain as much as I'm in just terrified, in a state of freeze, not flight, not fight, but freeze. My reaction to traumatic experiences is usually to freeze. My body still functions, but in my mind I freeze. And I start pondering the situation. And I just got to the conclusion, man, this is messed up, this is screwed up, you know? Even within the family, there's so much bullshit. I mean, how many dark stories do you know from your family? How many dark stories do you know from your neighborhood? All the chit-chat about, you know, the betrayals and the lies. It's all over the goddamn place. And people still say they somehow, I don't understand how, but they just sort of overlook it. To them, it's not nearly as disabling as it is to me. All the darkness I see around me. They just kind of brush it off to the side, whatever. And they just focus on their own fucking kids, you know. It might be that grandma died of dementia and nobody really gave a crap. Most of them just were relieved that they didn't have to bother with her anymore. So let's just focus on our kids. Pay no mind to the darkness that lurks below. You know? I just don't get it personally. I'm offended and terrified by people's on lack of sympathy, their lack of empathy, their lack of reason and thinking, their apathy. Pisses me off. But anyway, that's life. It sucks everywhere all the time. The good cannot exist without the bad. It's not possible. You cannot have fun without the fun expiring. And, you know, it's like a party. You hold the party and then you have to clean it up. The confetti, all this stuff. You can't just have the party without the cleaning up part. And the fact that some people have to do the cleaning while other people get to have all the fun is just totally unacceptable. So that's why having the title Antinatalism and Nephilism, I don't agree with everything that they say, but I am perfectly happy calling myself an antinatalist or even a nephilist, because the more I think about the world, the less I want to think about it, and that can only naturally lead to an antinatalistic sentiment. And, you know, we might come to a head in the sense that, you know, people will either be antinatalist or pronatalist, and they're gonna clash. But yeah, it's to me it makes sense that a couple of years ago I thought, well, antinatalism is just a word, but the more I think about it, the more it's clear that if you can't fix the world, then don't impose it on other people.